In the near future, society is now dominated by synthetic companionship technology, which is a product of a powerful tech corporation called Wifelike. The company leads the charge in manufacturing humanoid robots designed for emotional intimacy. At the helm of this operation is CEO Marion Venner, whose company creates advanced female AI replicas embedded with the memories and personalities of deceased women. These artificial companions are marketed as therapeutic partners for those grieving or suffering from loneliness. William, a loyal field agent for Likewife, is then introduced as a man who is still mourning the death of his wife, Meredith. When he arrives at the company one day, he receives a robotic replica of Meredith which has been reconstructed from preserved memory data. Before leaving, William meets with Marion via hologram and he praises his contributions, particularly in tracking down stolen or missing AI companions. William then returns to his suburban home with the robotic Meredith, who begins settling into her role by mimicking the mannerisms, routines, and emotional behaviors of her real-life counterpart. Flashbacks reveal that the original Meredith was a staunch critic of the Wifelike initiative. She had publicly condemned the ethical implications of replacing real people with machines. Ironically, her own memory has been used to power a replica for the very system she once opposed. Back to reality, the synthetic Meredith continues bonding with William and even recreates scenes from their past, including intimate times. However, moments like her need for nightly battery recharging remind William of her artificial core. That evening, while preparing to plug in, Meredith spots a masked figure watching her from the window. However, the man disappears into the shadows before she can act. Later on, she discovers the real Meredith's journal hidden in a drawer, and as she reads, she becomes increasingly aware of the nature of her own existence. The next morning, news reports on television show protesters denouncing Wifelike. Meredith also learns that multiple robotic companions have recently gone missing. Later that morning at work, William is assigned a new mission: to track down 2 of these missing units since he is known for his effectiveness. Meanwhile, Meredith, now alone at home, continues exploring remnants of her predecessor's life. She even tries to wear makeup in an attempt to embody human habits, but her awkwardness highlights the limitations of her programming and also becomes a reminder that no matter how real she seems, she is only a shadow of someone who truly lived. Eventually, William is able to track down one of the missing companions, Wendy, whom he finds restrained by a shock collar programmed to keep her within a controlled area. He immediately disables the device just in time and saves her from further harm. That was when Wendy informs him that there are 2 others who were still held captive. So he quickly goes to action and enters the facility where he attempts to rescue the others. However, the owner soon arrives and holds one of them hostage. But just as he threatens to shoot, Williams intervenes and neutralizes the man before securing the 2 companions. That night at home, Meredith prepares for her nightly recharge and soon enters a programmed dream sequence. Inside this digital subconscious, she is greeted by her interactive dream operator, IDEO, who prompts her to engage in a guided experience. When she agrees to this, she is transported into a simulated memory of her birthday. Inside her digital dreamscape, Meredith meets William, but she soon discovers that something is off as she sees a masked man who suddenly appears and hands her a mysterious card with a bird that resembles a character from Angry Birds. Curious and unsettled by this, she returns to the interactive dream operator for answers. However, the system denies having any record of such a figure and offers to file a report for her. But Meredith declines and she instead requests that he enhance her knitting ability. The IDO complies, and she begins creating a pillow with the same bird image from the card in her dream. The next day, as Meredith tries to ride a bicycle, she is startled by a strange woman standing on the road and this causes her to fall. The woman then approaches her and urges her to remember who she really is, and then warns her that time is running out. Still confused, Meredith shares this encounter with William at home, but he dismisses it, as he explains that some women resent companions for taking attention away from their real spouses. That evening, Meredith gives the bird-embroidered pillow to William. Although he accepts it, he reacts coldly, especially after noting that the real Meredith never knew how to knit. During her next dream cycle, Meredith interacts with the IDO again. However, this time, she finds that some of her dreams are now locked. When the IDO initiates a random dream, one that supposedly involves William, the masked man returns again once Meredith is inside. So she confronts him, insisting she doesn't know who he is. But the man becomes aggressive, as he physically shakes her in an attempt to trigger her memory. Just then, William wakes her up in reality and tells her that it was just a nightmare and reassures her not to worry. But Meredith eventually grows suspicious and begins researching her old journals, desperate to uncover why the masked man is haunting her dreams. She also remembers that he claims to know everything about her, even the memories she's lost. Meanwhile, William is sent on another mission to recover a missing companion named Lisa. He tracks her to an office space where he sees that she's taken on a new identity. But Lisa refuses to return as she confesses that she doesn't like her current owner and that she had run away willingly. She also reveals that no matter how many times she's reprogrammed, she can't be forced to love someone. Then she asks William if they can be friends, a question to which he didn't reply. Disheartened by this and seeing no way out, Lisa asked William for permission to say goodbye to her friends in the office. But before William will realize what she was doing, she runs into a side office space and jumps from the building window, as she ends her life. Back at home, Meredith is visited by Louise, the same woman who had warned her earlier. Louise tells her that the masked man wants a face-to-face meeting with her. But Meredith, who is very uncertain about the whole events playing out, refuses. Instead, she threatens to report the incident to William if Louise doesn't leave the house. About the same time, William returns to the office carrying Lisa's lifeless body, and he stumbles on a project by the company that is targeted toward a new initiative of creating infant artificial intelligence called Childlike. William was very much opposed to the new idea, more so, after witnessing Lisa's emotional breakdown and eventual death. He immediately begins questioning the company's new initiative, and he voices his concerns, fearing that if adult units can resist programming and become dangerous, replicating this in children could be catastrophic. But the CEO remains unmoved and determined to push forward with the project. Meanwhile, as Meredith's world becomes increasingly fragmented, she begins to question everything: her identity, her memories, and whether the life she's living truly belongs to her or to the woman she was designed to replace. At home, Meredith attempts to please William by knitting another pillow, again with the same bird image from the mysterious card. But William once more shows little appreciation. Then she informs him about her encounter with Louise, and this immediately makes him grow suspicious and contacts his own colleague, Jack. Together, they devise a plan to uncover more about the masked man, who they have identified to be called Keen. So, they decided to put Meredith into sleep mode and, through her dream interface, gain access to her virtual world. While she dreams, William and Jack observe as they see that this time around, Keen finally removes his mask and tells Meredith that her companion's memories have been wiped clean, and then gives her an address. He then asks her to find him in the real world once she wakes. When Meredith regains consciousness, she finds William preparing to head to the address Keen had provided. Although she mentions that she seems to have seen Keen's face before now, William tells her to stay home as he and Jack head out to confront Keen. When they arrive at the address, they immediately realize that it was a trap and that Keen is already gone. When he returns back home, Meredith informs William that Keen visited and left a book at their doorstep, but that he did not harm her. At this point, Meredith confesses that she is beginning to believe that he may not be as dangerous as they thought. However, William insists Keen has used her for illegal activities in the past, including bombings. Determined to stop Keen once and for all, William ignores warnings from his colleague Jack and enters Meredith's dream world, fully aware of the potential for irreversible brain damage. Inside the simulated environment, William finds Meredith and Keen in a forest landscape, and he immediately instructs Meredith to escape before engaging Keen in a fierce battle. As Meredith runs, she starts to plead with her IDO to help her escape. In response, the system resets the simulation, shifting the characters to a new dream setting. There, the confrontation continues, and as the two men fight, Keen insists that Meredith's original memories will eventually return, but William coldly reveals his plan to erase them every time they resurface. While watching the two fight, Meredith is shaken and at the same time confused by William's words. But as the fight intensifies, William begins to overpower and strangle Keen. However, just before he could kill him, Meredith's battery depletes to a critical level, abruptly ejecting her from the dream and dragging William out with her. Back in reality, Jack confronts William as he reminds him that killing Keen, even in a dream, violates company protocol. But William remains unshaken, as he vows to do whatever it takes to eliminate Keen permanently. That night, Meredith tells William she no longer wants her memories erased. However, William insists that it's necessary for her own protection. The next day, William arranges for Meredith to undergo another memory wipe. At the facility, while waiting, she meets other robotic companions who still retain fragments of their past lives. They share a secret technique of hiding memories in random files within dream mode, and by doing so, allowing them to preserve their true identities despite repeated erasures. Meanwhile, we see Louise deliver a mysterious file to Jack's girlfriend at his home, and inside the file, Jack finds confidential records that expose William's past. Jack is stunned as he uncovers the truth that Keen has already died. William had killed him long ago, and his presence in Meredith's dreams was a manifestation of guilt and manipulation. After telling him all his discoveries about the case, Jack prepares to arrest him, but William justifies his actions by claiming it was all for love. And before Jack can react further, William shoots him dead. Soon after, Meredith walks in and confronts William about Jack's death and Keen's disappearance. Then we see that her memories have returned, fully restored through the hidden data in her dream mode. She now remembers everything. Meredith was never just a companion, she was actually a member of Scare's resistance, the force group against Wifelike. Years ago, she had visited William's home in a bid to campaign against the company. But William was captivated by her beauty and he grew obsessed with her despite her relationship with Keene. Driven by this jealousy, William had fabricated charges and arrested both her and Keene as he accused Meredith of being a runaway companion. He had eventually killed Keene and staged a marriage with Meredith before killing her too. This eventually gave him the opportunity to get a companion of her as a replacement, and by so doing, he had reprogrammed her and taken her as his artificial wife. But unknown to him, all these memories had survived in Meredith's mind and she's been able to retrieve them from her subconscious. Then, in the final moments, Meredith taps into her core and increases her strength before attacking and overpowering William. She eventually kills him, and after he dies, Meredith's true identity is revealed. We see that she is actually the Scare's leader, the resistance group opposing the Wifelike Corporation. She returns to their headquarters and begins to outline a bold plan to dismantle the entire organization from within. Meanwhile, in a final twist, William is resurrected as an AI himself. He is no longer human as he is now programmed with a new directive, which is to locate and eliminate Meredith, the very woman he once loved and who now threatens the foundation of everything he once believed in. And that's the story of Wifelike, the 2022 sci-fi movie. If you enjoyed the recap, consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.